two.
Silly. What? Ha ha ha. Silly. What?
A wedgie, a front wedgie? You had a front wedgie,
back
right
wedgie
now?
one side. Yeah.
What?
Just my right cheek. Just it went up from my right cheek.
Got it.
So it was fine. It wasn't a front wedgie. Holy shit. I would have had to stand up and like shake it out.
You're like a dog getting scratched, your leg. Now,
Yeah.
next time I know what it is, you're like, oh,
my
front
God.
wedgie. Oh, got it.
So, oh my gosh. Speaking of which, we'll get to Stacia. Hold on.
I was like, what segue is front wedgie and Stacia?
No, but the coronation, they said that Camilla had a wedgie and she was like moving around in the chair like she had a front wedge. I know.
How do we know she had a front wedge? She had a
I
dress
don't know.
on.
It was on Twitter. I don't know, but
She had gas.
maybe. And I think when you get that old, you don't like you just fart. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
wonder if you
don't-
even hear it, or you can't hear it.
I don't
So
think you care anymore.
there's that, or I think you just you let it go, and because you can't hear.
Maybe,
I
but
don't
you
know.
can feel it. Do you know what else I think it is? I think that older people, like that old, they like to smell their farts because they're like, I'm alive.
That's how they know.
This is how I know that I'm still alive.
And they remember what they ate the night before.
Right. I did eat breakfast. There's
Ooh.
the eggs.
Broccoli.
There's my salmon that I had from the
I wonder, like, do farts? Because you know what you eat changes the way that you taste down there. So like apparently when
again?
you have pineapple, it changes the way that you taste down there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
How do we know that?
exactly.
Somebody's fucking making shit up. But
Yeah.
asparagus makes your pee turn
Makes your
yellow.
pee stink. Well, and
And
stink.
stink.
I heard somebody say one time, I won't let my husband eat asparagus because it makes his pee stink. I was like, it's like that? It's like that?
That's a
really?
shitty
Like you're not
wife.
allowed
Leave
to
her.
eat
Yeah.
asparagus?
No, that's a
Bitch,
deal
get
breaker for me.
out.
Yeah.
Get
leave.
out while I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Anyway.
Um,
but front wedgie, coronate. Okay. All right. So
yeah,
just,
the coronation.
I mean, what did we say? There was like a meme of where Gen Z was like pointing to the TV while it was going on and said, "What century are we in? Like, is this actually happening?" And it's true because you think about it when Queen Elizabeth was,
That was last century.
yeah, but it was like at the like
The
it was
40s
when,
or something. Yeah.
yeah, like my parents weren't even alive yet.
Yeah.
So that's a whole 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 even generations of people who have never seen
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, and I was, first of all, I mean, how long could he possibly have? I'm not trying to kill the man or anything, but seriously, how long could he have?
Yeah.
And I've seen videos of him, like where he's had little temper tantrums or something about a pen or, whatever.
Oh, he was
and I'm like,
fussing in the car. Or in
I
the
know,
cart
that's-
on the way when he was got
his
there.
carriage.
Oh, his carriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in a cart.
His court. Hey, King, what court you gonna take today? But I think, like, he's fussy, but he's also never had to fucking do anything for himself his entire
know.
life. And
I
so
know.
can you imagine even, like, William, what he's like? Like, gross. I'll bet these people, like, I've seen him, I saw him in a thing where he was, like, shaking hands, and he was like, yes, it's so nice. And somebody said, oh, William, are you so excited? Are you nervous about tomorrow? Well, we're really nervous, but hopefully the weather will be great. And then he, like, moved on, and I was like, fucking, what is that?
You're not.
That's not normal behavior. Like, he was trying to be one of the people by saying things about the
Yeah.
weather. Except
Yeah.
his face was all fucked up. Like, he was, like, masked.
Like he doesn't know. He doesn't
Right.
know how to be. It's like us after we had kids and then we went out in public for the first time. You just don't know how to act. You're like,
Here's my baby.
you like just laugh when things
This
are
is
funny.
fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But you, like,
Yeah,
still rock
yeah.
back and forth. I still do
Yeah,
that.
I do too.
I still rock back and forth because I feel like I'm still like holding a baby. What the fuck?
I don't know.
We
But
have
we have a great show today.
We do. Stacia's on the show, Stacia Welborn, who is a realtor. She is a friend of a friend, and boy, am I glad that we met her because she's super inspiring and she's got her shit together.
She's like a ball of sunshine.
Is.
Like her whole vibe was just really happy and positive and
Southern.
and yes, it's just it was easy. It was a great interview, really informative. It's also, it is inspiring to just remember to always love where you are right now.
Yeah.
Because it's going to, even if you don't stay in that world, that it will contribute to your next phase, your next interest.
Yes, one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next.
One thing leads to another.
Nope. Let's get to the episode before this happens more.
Real. You done with that, real?
Tell me how to pronounce your first name and last name just so I don't fuck it up. Stacia Welborn?
Stacia.
Stacia, see?
See?
And if
We
you
would've messed it up.
forget, just think of stationary, but drop the nary.
Drop the nary.
Oh.
Oh.
I've had to say that a few times.
Because if your name was Nary, then that would be weird.
That would be weird.
Nary. Nary might be cute.
It's not.
I mean,
Nary?
Nary, but with an N.
Right. It's
That's
like
trying
the
too
millennial.
hard.
The millennial Nary. The millennial Mary.
That's true.
It's like
I'm not going to
Stacey
say
with an
anything.
I.
My kids have really unique names, but Nary, it's fine.
That's fine. My daughter's name is Sienna, and my grandmother's name was Norma.
That's my niece's name is Sienna.
Really?
Yeah,
Two
I have a
N's or
story
one
about
N?
that. 2 N's.
Same.
And they named her Sienna Jade.
Okay.
My middle name is Jane, named after my grandmother. And I was like, Sean, really? You had to choose a D instead of an N? Like you couldn't pass on the family name?
Yeah.
And also because I was planning to name my son, which I did, Lincoln Kelso, and Kelso was his middle name and my grandmother's maiden name. Anyways, long story short, second baby girl was born, and she's Zeta Jane.
Oh,
and she's like a
there
little
you go.
mini me, and she looks a lot like me. I just love it.
that's awesome. I love how you said it too with like such a good Southern accent. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Sorry,
That
I interrupted. You're Sienna.
No, that's
story.
okay. That's great. Yeah, Sienna is Sienna, and my grandmother's name was Norma, so we named her Norma was her middle name, and which is not necessarily it's an odd name, but our last name is Lee, and so her name is Sienna normally.
Did you think about that?
Not until after. We were like, oh shit, her name is Sienna normally. I am really excited that you're here, Miss Stacia Welborn. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I want to introduce you a little bit.
Sure.
Stacia is a friend of Jessica, who is a longtime friend of mine. And how long have you known Jess?
We met when I was pregnant with my son, and he's 9.5.
Okay. Oh my gosh, a long time. She's like the most beautiful Zen person. Her body and feelings just come off of her like she's always hugging you. It's just incredible. I think that's why I need her, because she's like this light of hug, and it's gorgeous. So, Stacia is a realtor, but she didn't start out that way. And I wanted to get you on because Jess said you're amazing and inspiring. But you've also gone through major transitions in your life. And I think that women out there, parents out there, sometimes we need to hear that you can make it out okay and you're not fucking dying.
Yeah.
And it's such a crazy hard road. So tell us a little bit about some of the transitions that you went through. You said you were a dancer through high school and stuff.
Yeah. So actually, my parents were amazing, paid for me to go to college to pursue dance, which now in hindsight, I'm like, oh my gosh, bless them. Really? I mean, however, it did lead me to, I did teach dance. I decided not to pursue the New York performance route. I just wasn't cut cutthroat enough for that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I did teach children for many years and then transitioned into teaching Pilates
Oh,
more than dance. Yeah.
That's a nice transition. Knowing your body so well through dance and all that stuff and being able to transition into Pilates. That's a very good choice.
Yeah. And at one point when I was younger and before I was thinking of having children, I was considering going back to grad school to become a physical therapist.
Okay.
But when I did all of the research and I kind of dove into that as far as figuring out if that was the right path or not.
Yeah.
It felt like it wasn't the right path and it wasn't the right time. It would have required moving. We had just relocated here. And by the time I got out of school, I knew I would probably be ready to think about having kids. And I didn't want to be committed to like a 40+ hour a week job in a hospital or clinical setting.
Yeah.
With a new baby.
Yeah.
And owing lots of grad school loans. So
Holy
I decided that wasn't the right path. And then I opened my little boutique Pilates studio behind the house that my ex and I bought. That was a garage, and we renovated it into a little Pilates studio. It was really sweet and beautiful. And I taught privates and duets for, I think, 12 or 13 years.
Oh my gosh, that's a long time. That's like a career.
Yeah. That was teaching dance, then private Pilates instruction, and then had my son and
Lincoln.
Yeah, he's amazing. And once I had him, I slowed down a little bit in my teaching, but I wanted to keep, maintain it. But it was amazing because I could come in and every 2 hours and I would nurse, and our nanny at the time was a neighbor and she would like make beautiful lunches for us, and she would fold clothes and sweep the kitchen. I mean, so she was like taking care of me too.
Yeah.
Not just him. And it was,
and we need taken care of too.
Yes, we do. Look at that dog behind you, Brooke.
I know.
I
Get
just
her
love
out of
that
here.
Roxy.
She was just like growling, like, "Hey, I want to be on the show."
She needs a pair of headphones.
Look at her. She's talking to me. She's like, "Well, I got something to say."
She's so cute.
She's very cute.
See, that's so cool. I think that one of the things that we've realized in our generation of women is that you don't have to go in 9 to 5, right? You don't have to completely leave your family. And I don't know where that came from or how that happened, or if it was through
generations of ingrained like structure of saying that that's the women's role and that's the men's role. And to say that we either have to stay at home or we work these 9 to 5 jobs where then someone else is raising our kids. And I think now that we're in this different wave of technology too, that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Like much to your point, you converted your garage into a studio that sustained and built a business for yourself for a decade. Like that's really impressive. And honestly, it's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes we just have to look around us like you did with your garage and go and see the possibilities, whether it be the garage or an extra room or a place. Like I have a studio here in my house because it was like, I have this space and this is what I need to do with my life. And I got to make it work for as a career. And I think that that's so exciting. Because sometimes as we're going through life, we just go. And if we just stop to look around, the fact that you, like Brooke, I mean, a decade, that's huge. Yeah, that's crazy. Amazing. That's really inspiring. Okay, so you were Pilates, and then you wrote, we always send questions to our guests beforehand so that we are prepared and not idiots, but we'll still be idiots. But
it's helpful.
You wrote about how 2 weeks before COVID, you got a tenant in that space. And tell me a little bit about that transition out of Pilates and making it a rental space.
Yeah. So like you said, I was teaching out of there 10+ years. So it was probably 12 or 13 by the end. And if you've ever been in a teaching role in any capacity, it's very intense and you're 110% on all the time. Yeah. And it's also with, having my own business, if I wasn't physically present in that building with a client, I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
And so like I've got to, at that point, I was a single mom with a 2-year-old. And I was like, I've got to make some kind of shift because I'm feeling burnout. I still love Pilates and believe in the method and all the things it can do for people, but I didn't have the same passion for it that I did when I started the business. And I was starting to feel that coming through my teaching, I didn't like that at all. Cause I've always been, pretty committed and passionate, whether it was teaching dance or Pilates, and that didn't feel good. So I was like, it's time to transition. It's time for a change. And I explored a lot of different paths. There's a great book that my boyfriend passed on to me called Designing Your Life. And
write that down.
Yeah. It really encourages.
Well, we're recording too, so we can like go back on it. We don't listen to our own.
We don't listen to our own podcast. That's why I'm like, write it down.
Write it down.
Yeah. But it really encouraged like explore the paths, like go down, almost like in my mind, it was like a sunburst of options, right? So go all the way down all of these different paths to figure out, like, is that something that really feels right? Like you got to get kind of deep in versus just like the seed of the idea, right?
Yeah.
Like I kind of had to go in and let it grow a little bit and learn and dive in. So, I consider going back to school for occupational therapy at that point, instead of physical therapy, and hoping to end up in a school system, working with kids as an OT in school, because it would align again with my son going, into kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then that was going to require a move, and a judge basically said I couldn't move. So that was a whole thing, and I had to work through that acceptance. And then I looked into like buying an exercise franchise. There's several here in town that have done very well. I kind of went down that path, looked at financing. That didn't feel like the right thing ultimately. I thought about expanding my Pilates studio and just becoming more of the manager, versus like the one instructor, and getting commercial space and growing the business. But I just didn't have that passion for it. It was like, would it have been a logical thing to do? Yeah, because I already had a client base. It's something I knew, I could teach Pilates in my sleep because I knew it so well.
That doesn't sound fun thoh.
But if you're not happy and you're not passionate, then you said, you got to find that groove and whatever that is for you,
That's exciting though too, talking about the paths. We're definitely going to read the book, and then we'll maybe do a podcast on it too, but because that's courageous to be able to go, listen, I'm going to follow this, because I'm actually going through this right now with my career, because I have 5 things that I'm doing, and I feel like I'm doing all of them just a little bit, even though one of them you know what I mean? And so I feel like, but as a single parent too, going far enough down the path to realize that's very scary, I think, probably for some people, because you're like, I have a child, it's scary. But the fact that you did it, and you're like, and you're saying, just do it. You have to do it to be able to find that. So then you found your real estate stuff.
Yeah. So I'd always had an interest in real estate, and, I was always that, connector person that was like, oh my gosh, I saw this house in the neighborhood and it'd be perfect for you. Right. And I just always had like,
you're like a stylist, a housing stylist.
Yeah. I had a beat on the real estate in the area, and it was just, I enjoyed that. I'm definitely a people person. I love being with people. I think people generally get to know me and like me and trust me fairly quickly, which is a really amazing set of attributes to have when you're in real estate, because you're meeting new people a lot, and it's a big life transaction, big financial transaction, and also just buying a house is a big emotional decision. And so being able to connect with people, but also make them feel confident that, I'll get the job done, and I'll advocate for you, and I will dot all of my I's and cross all of my T's and make sure it's done correctly. So I decided to go for it. I had enough people say, you'd be really good at it. You'd be really good at it. But I was like, well, there's not a million, but a lot.
Close
like,
to. Yeah.
3,000 plus agents in our smallish market. So I was like, well, yeah, but there's already so many.
Yeah.
Like, why would anyone choose to work with me? I'm going to be new. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And I took a chance. And once I committed, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. And I went for it.
How did you, this was one thing I was really impressed by too. And you mentioned this in your response with us, is that you had these almost like these programmings, like, well, why would they choose me? Or why, they have their own, and everybody I know has like knows 5 agents that are, more. Why, what was it? What did you tell yourself, or what did you have to do to say, no, shush, shush, shush. Like, I'm going to go do this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to go do it, and they will choose me, because I feel like we are our worst, enemies when it comes to pursuing things that we may want to do, because we're telling ourselves like, well, no one will hire me. Well, I don't have any experience. And especially like I'm at the age that I'm at now, and these people have been doing it for a decade. Like, what did you tell yourself?
That's a good question.
Tell me, please. We need you.
What did I tell myself? I guess ultimately I was like, well, why not? And at that point, I didn't have a lot to lose, because it was during COVID. My son was doing virtual school. I had my tenant in place, which was a travel nurse. I have a lot of travel nurses and film industry people, because we have a pretty decent film industry here. We call it Wilmywood. So we're not Hollywood, but we're Wilmywood.
That's cool.
And
it's true. Everything's moving to the East Coast.
Yeah. So that passive income had become really secure, which has been amazing. And because I bought my little bungalow 20 years ago, that passive income was paying my mortgage and utilities.
Wow.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
So then it was like I could breathe a little, and I'm like, okay, so I realized there's going to be a transition. It might take a little while to build a client base, but I know I can pay my mortgage and utilities.
Wow. Right.
And probably buy groceries.
Yeah.
So it's okay if it takes a little while. And then I'm no longer with this group, but I did join a team when I first started, and it was a good place for me to launch, because they had some systems in place. And I had that built-in network of people to bounce ideas off of, and to help me gain some confidence.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, hey, I'm on this team that has a lot of experience, and that helped me gain my own confidence. And then after 9 months on the team, financially, it wasn't the right decision for me to continue there, because I was able to do, a lot more for myself on my own. And so I switched companies and firms and went out on my own, which was also a little bit scary. But at that point, I had built up enough confidence that I was like, I can do this. Like, I've got what it takes. I'm going to make it happen.
So from working those 9 months with them, you kind of gained some of those, like those missing pieces of what you maybe weren't sure of, like on your own, just doing the book and taking the test. So like the marketing stuff. And like, Mel, weren't you like, that's why I didn't pursue it, because I didn't know how to market myself.
Yeah, I got my real estate license before I moved to Panama. I got my real estate license, which, by the way, the test is freaking hard. There's a lot of people that don't pass it right away. I did pass it, thankfully, because I took one of those classes that's like guaranteed to pass.
I studied my ass off, and that's how I passed. I had a stack of note cards like this thick.
Did you take them in there and sneak and cheat?
No, they have like cameras up.
I know they
legit.
do.
Yeah.
All right, Stacia. All right.
Oh my gosh.
They're serious about it. They're serious about it. Yeah. But after I passed, you get letters from, Keller Williams or a Compass or whatever, saying like, would you like to join our team? And so I joined a Keller Williams team. And I just remember being like, I don't know where to get signs. I don't know how to I know how to take headshots, but like the photo is supposed to be. So that's another thing I was going to ask you about, is the practical application of this. Cause I feel like real estate is something that is never going to go away. Right. And if you like, I have Zillow and realtor.com. I have all of these apps on my phone, because I'm constantly looking at like, just even in my area, or I'm going to move to Hawaii. So let me see what pricing is going on, and whatever. Just because I do love it.
I'll visit if she does.
Are you moving to Hawaii?
No, I'm not moving to Hawaii. It's too freaking. Loaves of bread in Hawaii are like $8.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, because
it's like Panama in the way that like there's
everything's imported.
Everything's imported, so you get what you get. You
don't
get upset.
Well, it's dumb. All right, Hawaii is dumb. So, but all of that stuff of like, how did you practical application? You took the test, you got on a team, but how did you figure out, other than, you know, getting advice from them and stuff, like, give me some steps. So if anybody is out there that wants to become a realtor, some of the things that they can do, what are the top 3 to 5 things that you did that you're like, this was the mistake I made and this is how I would do it now?
I think Mel's changing careers. She's like, I
I
already
might.
have my license, and I had her on because I need to know what to do next because this podcast is not working out. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
No, actually, we're doing great.
Yeah. Okay, so steps. I was quick to be recruited and felt like that was a big honor by this team. Yeah. And they were very particular about who they selected to join the team. Because it was a small group of women. And they wanted to make sure, you know, there's a pretty thorough vetting process before they decided to have, or, you know, invite me to join. I did not do my research and homework on commission splits.
Uh-huh.
And being a newbie, I was just like, okay, sure. I don't know. I didn't know what the norm was. And then I found out. And then I was like, hey, my production's been really high. Like, here's my gross sales volume and been working really hard. I'm a team player. Like, I need a little more. And there wasn't much movement on that, which ultimately ended up being a blessing because it was right for me to go on my own. I've been, you know, a solo entrepreneur for so many years. I think that ultimately was where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So definitely do your homework and see what different firms offer and make sure, you know, you find the right one. I was just kind of quick to, and I didn't go with just one firm. I had considered others, but I didn't do as much homework maybe at the beginning. And then I would say, secondly, joining a team at the beginning was very helpful, unless you have a really good network built into the firm that you're with. You know, if they're super hands-on and supportive with new agents, if they have people to help you with marketing and where to get your signs and things like that.
Yeah.
So if a lot of firms are hands-off, you know, and so having that team where it's like they had all the systems and they just plugged me into their systems, right?
Oh, that's
so
good.
That was really helpful.
Moms are too.
I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this new thing that we found. Is called Moonlight. The magic of Moonlight is simple. It's the experience of reading together with a projection on the wall. Moonlight bridges the gap between traditional and digital books. There are playful projections, vivid sound effects, and read-along features make this multi-sensory storytime a delight. Moonlight is here to help you create imagination-filled, interactive bedtimes for your whole family and make storytime magical again. Use the code Moonlight10 with our link to get an extra 10% off your purchase. It's very cool.
Moms are too.
Oh, this is a big one.
Oh, good.
And this, my current leader in the group that I'm with now, which is Remax, and she's in a unique position in that she's an owner of the company, but she does not carry her real estate license. And so she is there to truly support all the agents, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alicia. She's amazing. Anyway,
yay, Alicia.
And she told me when I decided to sign on with Remax, she was like, I highly encourage you to get your own domain name and your own email address that is not Remax. She said, I would love to think that you're going to be at Remax forever.
Yeah.
But she said, I know sometimes things happen and life shift happens and you may not even be in this market anymore. You know, you may move somewhere or you just may decide we're not the right place for you to stay. So she was like, don't go through what you just went through transitioning here, which was all new email addresses. And it was a difficult transfer with the IT department, you know, getting all of my old emails and old files. And it was not easy. And I think they make it that way a little bit on purpose to kind of keep people, because it's like, oh, I've talked to quite a few agents that are like, it's just so much work to transition to a different firm. I'm like, yeah, it is. But for me, it was worth it. So yeah, definitely. So now I have my own, domain name, wellbornrealty.com, and then my own email address, stacia@wellbornrealty.com. And those are what I use now instead of anything that has Remax in it, because that will carry with me in the event that I ever do need to make a shift. So that was a
that's
really
huge.
great tip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I feel like that is something we should do too, Brooke, with like all of our email, because we have a shared email for Mom's Art too, and then we each have our own individual email, and then we have our Blind Toe production company email. And I feel like that might be something that like maybe we just don't use our personal email anymore. I don't know things, but yeah, that's really, really huge, especially thinking about switching firms, and then you have compass.com or whatever at Compass, right, and then you leave and access to all of those previous clients and emails. Not that you want to poach or anything, but like,
no, but those are your clients. If you got that business, those are your clients, right?
That's true. But also just like you're required to keep all correspondence for 3 years in case anything ever happens. So it's like, I really,
you can't just bolt.
Yeah, you kind of have to keep track of all that stuff.
Do you have to LLC your business then, like, because like your personal, even though you're working with an agency?
You don't have to, but it's smart to. Yeah. For tax purposes. Yeah. Yeah. So I have mine is, I think, Welborn Real Estate Services LLC. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. That's awesome. And we want to know now, Madame, what did you fail at this week?
Oh yeah. So this is kind of an ongoing fail.
We got him.
Yeah. Time management. It's really tough right now.
Wow, that's universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? It's just, I think part of it is a season of life, like single parenting, I'm very hands-on mom. Like I love spending time with my son, and just, I, cherish that. And also being in a long-term partnership, and making sure I make time for that. And then also like, oh yeah, I need to like exercise and take care of myself and run a business.
That?
Yeah.
And be there for my friends. I have some friends going through some really tough stuff right now. And, it's like, I want to be there for them. And so, I mentioned in what I wrote to you guys, I listened to, I think it was a podcast, or I can't remember if I read it or heard it in a podcast, but it really stuck with me and resonated, of thinking life as not like balancing, how people say like, I just don't feel like I have balance in life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, no, you never will, because it's not like 50% and 50%. Right. There's a lot of percentages. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe in this season of life, it's 40% family, 30% work, 15% self-care, and 15% friends. And that kind of gives me my, and right now that kind of feels like what it needs to be, but it doesn't always work out that way.
But it can change and it can evolve.
Totally. That's a great visual.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a great visual. In fact, I had like in my head, those the circle diagrams of like
the Venn diagram.
What
colors each one,
and how that changes, right? Like you were saying, in the different seasons, you're going to be there for your friends more. I just feel like we're always overscheduling ourselves.
Well, and I think
and
for sure, we're definitely, there's not enough time in the day. But I also think because you're right, Brooke, about it being a really good visual too, because first of all, I'm a hard copy kind of person. Like I can't just do things in the air or on my computer or whatever. Like I need paper in front of me. So having the idea of actually making a graph with those things to clarify what you are doing right now as sort of like a Pinterest wall or whatever it is. What are those things called? Where you make
a vision board.
Like a vision board. And then knowing that it can change, but also knowing that, like, I think like you said, it's not balance, but I think also all of the things that you listed that you want to have in your graph don't always need to always be in your graph.
Right.
Is that a graph? Is that what it's called?
Or like a flow chart. What is that? Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called?
The graph.
Circles with
circle graph.
I think it's like a productivity chart.
We're not science. We don't know science.
We're in the arts.
But that is huge. And we actually our last month we had Langdon on, who was talking about balancing and stuff, and she was saying, and I don't know why it resonated with me then, but also with you saying this and putting it Sometimes you have to hear something 9 different ways until Stacia comes in and tells you what you need to hear. Exactly. And I feel like that just hit me because sometimes you have these 10 years where you're not going to be good at your career because you are focusing on family and you're focusing on your aging parents and you're focusing on your kids. You know, this is their 10 years of growing that they need you the most, and they're transitioning into these amazing things in their life or whatever. And so I feel like sometimes we are really hard on ourselves if we don't fulfill that one sliver of the graph, and understanding that it's going to come back around. You're going to make space for it. And it's okay that right now that isn't in the biggest slice of your graph. I think that's huge.
Because it's always changing.
And we just have guilt, right? We want to do all of those things. And if we look at it like balancing, like you were saying, it's not 50-50.
No.
Because then there's always something that's falling off, the edge.
And then
there's
you feel
so
bad.
much.
Yeah. Instead of just, and boundaries are a big thing too. I think like with our friends and, with as busy as you are, and when your friends or your parents or things or people are going through things, there's only so much you can do. And I think knowing your boundaries of what that is or what your priorities are and how much time you're willing to give to those things are important.
We can't
especially
be there.
As a business owner,
Yeah. And
I definitely have been hard on myself in not meeting certain expectations that I have set for myself. And my partner was like, Stacia, I challenge you to write down everything you do every day for like a week.
Oh, shit.
And he was like, everything, like got up, made breakfast for my son, made lunch for my son, dropped him off at school, came home, exercised, walked the dog, like write all of those things out, like ran to the grocery, returned 5 client calls, sent out 10 emails. Like he's like, write them all down. And then maybe you'll feel like you're accomplishing everything and more than not feeling like you're meeting those goals,
So true. I used to do that when my kids were really little and I was transitioning out of being busy for me to then being just mom. And I felt like I'd kind of lost myself and I wasn't doing things for me, or like I just wasn't being busy. I wasn't being productive. And so what I would do is I would write down same thing. Every night I would write down all the things that I did that day.
Yeah.
Clean the house. I scrubbed boogers off the wall. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Just
and then you kind of feel like a badass. You're like, oh, all right.
Exactly.
Yeah. What if you can't make time to write your list?
Well, we have voice notes now.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Good point.
Yeah. Stacia, I'm so happy that you came on with us. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
It's just a reminder too that, we think that we're on these certain paths in our lives, and bless your parents for supporting you in that, because what that ended up doing with dance, and my parents did the same thing in theater school. And I just think, oh my God, like what were they? They were all like, yes, girl, go. Yes, you got this. There was no backup plan. There was no.
Right.
And, but you know what that did is it set me up, because you have to adapt. You adapted from dance school to Pilates business owner to now being that set you up to be a business owner and to have flexibility in your life and create your own schedule. Whether you're doing dance right now or not, these are all these wonderful stepping stones that you embraced and made help shape your life. And I think that's really commendable. And we've all learned we should not be so hard on ourselves.
That's right. And you're the string of your life, how things, like you were saying, Brooke, with the like dance led to Pilates led to, but also being a person who loves to teach and loves humans and cares about them emotionally, moving into real estate because you're genuinely taking care of people. Like you can be that therapist for them and make sure they feel safe. And if somebody doesn't have that quality, that's a very difficult situation to be in as a buyer or a seller, because you're scared, right? Even if you've done it 9 times and you're just flipping a house, it's still really scary. And to have somebody like you on our team, that's huge. So thank you for doing that. So if I move to North Carolina, I'm going to come to you.
Yes, come on. It's pretty nice over
Wilmingwood.
here.
I'm coming to
Yeah.
Wilmingwood.
Jess will be so excited.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Stacia. I
Thank
think I said your
you.
name wrong earlier, which is so dumb. I'm so sorry. So
No, it's
Tell us
great.
where we can find you, Stacia. Where are we at on social and all of that?
So that's an area I could definitely grow in. And maybe I will, but I do on Facebook. I don't do a lot on that. I'm really bad with Instagram. I think I have an account, but I just hardly get on it.
yay,
I
good for you.
know.
Well, if we have any listeners in the area, in the North Carolina area, how can they get a hold of you if they need like an amazing realtor?
So the best thing would be just look up my name. You can Google me. It's like I'm everywhere if you Google my name, through Remax or through my website, welbornrealty.com. And all my contact info is on there, and you can read my bio. And if you email me or call me or text me, I'll definitely get back to you.
Yay, thank
Awesome.
you.
Moms are too.
Silly.